Hi all, here with the first of a series of videos where we will be explaining more about the characteristics, skills and strategies of some of the characters in Duel Fighters. In Duel Fighters, the characters' attributes are detailed on the character sheets, which we will briefly explain in this first video. The first thing you will see on it, next to the character's image, is the character's 5 attributes and their value as described below. Attack, or ATQ. This indicates the number of attack dice that the character can roll for every combat action card, in this case the skull symbol, put in play to hit an opponent character. An ATQ value of 1 indicates a character with utmost combat technique, essentially a character whose knife-wielding skills don't go beyond that of slicing bread. With an ATQ of 6 or more, a warrior might possibly be a master in martial combat or possess exceptional brute force. One guess into which category Shark falls. Exactly. As a general rule, a character that obtains either a 4, 5 or 6 while throwing his attack dice is considered to have got a strike. The ability of your character to attack can be affected by modifiers that can change the number of dice thrown or the results needed to inflict a hit. Skills and techniques, the effect of special weapons, or the relative position between your character and that of your enemy may affect your fighter's attacks in either a positive or a negative manner. Defense. This indicates the number of defense dice that the character may roll in order to try to cancel out any hits received as a result of their opponent's attack dice roll. A character only having Def 1 is by nature not very alert and not seasoned at all in the use of its weapons in defense, and possibly without much more than its weak skin as armor. A Def 6 is a warrior at home in a complete suit of armor, or is simply a being that possesses superhuman hard steel-like skin, like a golem. As a general rule, a hit can be nullified by obtaining either a 4, 5 or 6 when rolling his defense dice roll. The ability of your character to defend itself may be subject to various modifiers that can change the number of dice that can be thrown or the result that you must get when throwing the dice. The effect of armor or exceptionally powerful weapons may require defense dice rolls that are more difficult or easier to achieve depending on the circumstances. Intelligence, or INT. This is an ability ranging from 1 to 6 that encompasses cunning, being able to anticipate your opponent, and the character's magical ability. An INT of 1 represents a primitive being, easily manipulated and with limited understanding. On the other hand, an INT of 5 is a far-sighted, wise and well-seasoned and experienced warrior in both physical and arcane combat techniques. Initiative and anticipation. A smart character studies and knows how to read their opponent's body language, thereby anticipating the movements they're about to make and get one step ahead of them. In the initiative roll, each character throws a number of dice equal to the INT attribute. Whoever gets more hits, results of either 4, 5 or 6, will decide who starts that turn. In addition, the adversary must show as many steps of their movement sequence as the number of hits obtained by the winner of the initiative roll. Constitution. A character's constitution ranges from 1 to 6. The con not only determines overall physical strength, but perhaps more importantly, defines his ability to heal and the resistance his body has against certain strikes. A character with a con of 1 is an unhealthy and fragile being. It is very likely that a tiny gust of wind will blow him over and he would probably never look for problems by getting into a duel that depended only on his physical strength. A warrior with a con of 6 or more is literally a giant that the most powerful venom doesn't affect more than what a mosquito bite would, and is quite capable of sending his opponent flying with a single slap. A character's con is essentially used in the following 3 ways. Healing ability. When a character is healed via any source, potions, spells, prayers or special abilities, the maximum amount of points that it can be healed by is the con value on its character sheet. A character can never be healed in excess of the original number of wounds, or W. Resolving charges and shoving. When a character's movement sequence puts him in the space which another player occupies, it can only be resolved by throwing a constitution roll. The result of this will determine if the character that is moving manages to charge and or push his opponent and continues with his movement sequence, or if on the other hand, he's stopped in his tracks and body blocked by his adversary. Beating death. When a character reaches the end of their life points, instead of dying, they can throw a constitution roll as per the character sheet, adding to the throw any wound that exceeds the maximum as indicated by the character sheet. If the result is equal to or less than the constitution value of that character, it can continue fighting, otherwise it is considered defeated. Injuries. All the characters have a determined amount of damage they can receive. The amount of wounds is indicated on the character sheet. When a character suffers wounds in combat, they are reduced from the total number of injuries that it has. When the number of wounds reaches 0, the character automatically loses the duel. Don't forget though that they could throw a constitution roll and come back to life even though they are breathing their last breath. Whenever the character receives a hit and this is not blocked by a defense roll or any other resource that the character has to protect against impacts, it is considered to have received a wound, and a wound marker must be removed from the total number available to it. Race abilities. Each character has a few racial features that provide them with race-specific abilities. Humans tend to be adaptable and versatile. The elves are agile and dexterous, although they have a fragile constitution, while the orcs are robust and coarse creatures, deadly in combat. The race abilities of each character try to reflect these characteristics. There are two in the case of the orcs. Obstinacy. The orcs have great physical strength and a very hard head. Whenever the orc receives physical hits, not magical nor fire, the maximum number of wounds it can get is 3. Each additional physical injury is simply ignored. The other wounds are counted as normal. Battle cry. The orcs are formidable enemies and their roar in battle is able to freeze their enemy's blood. At any time, in order to make an opportunistic attack, an unused action card can be used to perform a battle cry. The battle cry adds a -1 to all of your opponent's dice rolls until the end of the turn, as long as the opponent is 2 or less card lengths away. This can only be used once per turn. The next section of the character sheet are the archetypal abilities. Archetypal abilities. The characters in Duel Fighters are professional warriors who excel in some kind of combat. Even though they are deft swordsmen, brutal bloodthirsty mountains of muscle, or lethal assassins, each character, even if it is of the same race, differs from another by a set of archetypal skills. Shark has the following archetypal skills. Throws. Shark is very big and strong and is capable of lifting heavy objects and throwing them at his opponent. Provided that he is half a card or less from an object that is throwable, he can use an action card and fling it at his enemy. The difficulty of the throw depends on the distance. If the adversary is only 1 card away, hits can be attained by either rolling a 4, 5 or 6. A 5 or 6 is necessary if the distance is 2 cards, and a 6 if it is 3 cards, which is the maximum range. The number of dice to be rolled depends on the resistance of the object. Magical abilities. This section defines the type of magical accessories and spells that can be used by the character. In this case, Shark can use magical weapons and magic found in nature. In some cases, some restrictions are also indicated. Shark, for example, has a fear of fire and cannot use weapons or cast spells as indicated on the card that cause fire damage. After archetypal abilities, we come to special combat techniques. These blows often require the use of a number of experience points to perform them, which are indicated next to the name in brackets, but are deadly in combat. Shark has 3 special strikes. Brutal Smash, 2 experience points. Shark concentrates all his strength in a blow using both hands to crush his enemy. This strike requires all of his energy, and if he manages to make contact, his opponent is not likely to be left standing. However, if it fails, Shark will be vulnerable to a counter-attack. Place a card lengthwise in front of the character and perform an attack dice roll against any figure whose base comes into contact with the card. All hits that are not defended receive twice as many wounds, physical that is. Figures that are not affected and are at a distance of the width of a card can counterattack with as many dice as indicated by the intelligence value, up to a maximum of his attack dice roll of course. The second strike is the Slam Back. The Slam Back requires 1 experience point. Shark can shove an opponent and move it several meters back in a straight line with his powerful blow. This can be of great help when he's cornered or for pushing his opponent over a cliff. Performing this attack will drive his enemy back as many cards as the wounds he inflicts. And finally, his ace in the hole, the Tornado Smash. The Tornado Smash requires 1 experience point. During his lifetime, Shark has faced faster enemies many times who surpassed him in speed, thereby managing to get behind him. To counteract this hole in his defenses, the Orc has developed a rotating whirlwind attack, striking out in all directions. This attack inflicts 2 automatic hits on any opponent that is half a card length from his figure's base. Not too bad for a clumsy Orc, At the end of the character sheet, you will find 2 other important characteristics: the number of action cards and the number of victory points required to move to the next level. As we can see here, Shark has 5 action cards. The action cards can be basic cards such as weapons, objects or spells. The maximum number of action cards is a number shown on the character sheet. However, a player can choose how to configure the deck of action cards by choosing from among all of those that are valid for the character. The theme of the cards and their use is an important aspect that we will create a video for at a later stage. Finally, we come to the number of experience points required to pass to the next level. Experience points are achieved whenever a significant result is achieved in a dice roll. These experience points can be used to pass to the next level and improve the character's performance in combat or to perform special combat techniques. Looking at Shark's character sheet, we can see that he is a warrior whose strategy is based on full frontal combat. His 5 dice attack roll, which can become 6 when he uses his equipment card, makes him deadly when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Additionally, his very strong constitution allows him to manhandle and shove his opponent around with great ease. Despite his great talent for hand-to-hand combat, it is not unlikely to see Shark winning a duel by crowding his rival off the board or pushing him over a cliff. On the other hand, Shark's true weakness lies in his low level of intelligence, which makes him slow and predictable, as well as vulnerable to magical attacks. His defense ability is not very great, but is however compensated for by a high number of life points and a racial ability that limits the maximum damage that he receives due to physical attacks to only 3. Shark has 5 attacks available to him, while despite not having technical combat techniques such as the elves and some humans have, these still allow him a wide range of upgrades by using equipment cards. For example, his action card, Gurk's Axe, is a weapon that gives him an extra dice in attack and that hits with an additional 3+ points. Using it will sacrifice some mobility in exchange for increased combat power. It is ideal for well-armored enemies, although perhaps a little excessive against smaller rivals such as wizards and elves. If it comes down to team combat, Shark is perfectly able to fulfill the role of a tank, due to his ability to launch large objects and his enormous strength when shoving. His Tornado Smash lets him hit several enemies at the same time, even if they are behind him, and all of this added to his racial ability to shrug off physical damage. If he is not equipped with his 5 action cards, he could serve in some supporting roles if some object or spell is used to improve his intelligence level. It is clear, however, that the role of tank is best suited to his character. And that's all for now with respect to Shark's character. We hope that you have enjoyed this run through and that it has helped you to understand a little more with regards to the gameplay and the possibilities of Duel Fighters. We will be returning shortly with further videos and analyses of other characters and additional insights into other aspects of the game. Keep an eye out for the next releases and see you soon.